Hello, everyone, and welcome back to some WARNO League Season 3 action. As we covered Division 2 and Division 4 in our first cast, and now it's time for Division 3 and Division 1 here. And we're starting in Division 3 with a game that just got played, Sneaky Kid versus Le Ranger. I'm pretty excited for that, but before I go in there, first of all, I'm once more joined by the lovely Chloride.
Hello, everybody.
And you guys, as always, have the chance on helping out with the prize pool for this on Matcherino. So please check that out down in the description below on YouTube or in the chat in a second on Twitch. So see you all there. And yeah, let's get into the action here and let's talk about the matchup because that is a hot one full of Norvec stuff here on Vertigo. So what do we
Yeah,
got here?
looking at the Ranger start on ninth Panzer, the goddamn busted Panzer division that is busted for the same reason that a lot of tank divisions are in this meta, and maybe the only reason why any tank divisions are in this meta, which is that they can start out with numbers on tanks that are good enough, tanks that are good enough at providing you an opener fist to break through the enemy and buy you some of that space that you need as an armored division in this game. The sorts of very slow gameplay that we have seen before with 27th and 3rd Armored is not really popular nowadays, with the game being as aggro as it is. But these 155 point T72 MUV2 variants can be brought out for reasonably cheap, and their downsides, whether it be the slightly lower damage, the penetration, the slightly lower armor, bad speed, and their less than optimal, less than perfect ground target range, on these certain engagements, especially the most important engagements in Anna and Boris, I think those tanks can do a lot of damage there if well controlled, protected by a Kub and a Shilka as a standard, with some of those East German BMP2 infantry coming right back there. And what can you say about the Polish Desantowi opener here? We of course know that this is the mix of the paratroopers and the Marines. So when it comes to infantry fights in the late game, the Polish Desantowa division is really powerful, but it does not really have any high-tech units.
Yeah, it mostly comes with really motivated infantry and then some funky stuffs like the ZUR-23 yacht with Estrella really just stapled onto its ZU-23 gun. But we have a lot of those. Those are pretty good as infantry support nowadays as well. So the infantry fights for sure should go pretty well. You have really good special forces with the Dejan Commandosi as well. But your tanks are only T-55s and ASU 85s, both not great, and both without smoke. So both can't really penetrate a T-72 frontally, so they can only fight the BMPs here basically. And your AP on the ground is limited at around 17, as you don't have any Conquers, and that is going to be a big issue against T-72s.
Yeah, I mean, even with the even if you get the perfect concave, and even if you can have a large numbers of your PPK fagots and the Malyutkas that you also get en masse, the you're going to have to confront the enemy. A armored division played well enough will not allow you, will not drive into your pre-prepared defenses. I like to say the maybe the two Commandosi and a Sparacroniarce opener up north, maybe a little bit too much. We will see if the Polish units are cheap, so you can have a lot of numbers, and the fact that they're cheap does not mean that they are bad. It just means that they may not necessarily be able to do as many things as the more expensive units. The 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 special the special unit I would like to bring attention to is the ZU-20T Yod unit, which is the Strela 10, Strela 2, and combined with the ZU autocannon. This, I think, is for its price, is going to be a big meta unit. All infantry squad AA teams seem to be pretty all right currently and seem to overperform, especially against ground targets. And having those things on the back line costs you only 90 points when you sell the transports. So if a ranger doesn't manage to trade well in the opener, the Poles can bring out the numbers, and most likely will. They can also bring out the veterancy, considering the numbers allow for veterancy to be taken. But we're seeing Ranger buy 2 more the T-72s as well as a BRM, a recon vehicle to go with the tanks. So it's pretty clear for us where this battle is going now.
Yeah, in general, I feel like the Polish division is not bad, but it's a weird pick for Vertigo. Because this is usually a map where we see either really aggressive and super offensive forward deploy shenanigans, and the Polish are not super good at that. Like, they have forward deployment, they have the paratrooper detachment, but they aren't as good as other divisions at that. Or you see IFV and heavy tanks played on it, and the Polish don't have either. Whilst obviously 9th Panzer has the heavier tanks. They're not amazing on this map because you have some longer ranges on it, but they are decent. So I'm a bit worried for the Polish based on that. But so far, at least they have the +1. They should be able to get the +2 with the Northern Zone somewhat soon. Sneaky Kid for sure should go up there. But at the same time, the T-72s now will start forward. And yep, here we go. Motschützen will come forward.
Mistakes were made, I think, with the positioning of the Polish infantry. They were positioned on the right side of the tree line, which meant that when they started firing, when they were spotted, the BMP-2 could immediately open fire. You should not allow the tank blob to be able to fight you on this long of a range. Your units should be hugging the left side of the forest so that the enemy needs to come into fighting range. It needs to come into your AT weapon range until the fighting starts. And Fagot will take out a BMP-2, but the BMP-2 had already served its tactical purpose. 2 more tanks are coming up, 3 more coming in behind. The cheap ones going first, and the slightly expensive ones coming behind. As is the tempo. Buying the cheap tanks first also works well when your opponent is so reliant on AT planes. So the AT planes will take the risks and against the cheap planes, and when the planes have hopefully been taken out, then the more premium games can rule the late game. At least that is the theory. There is a Pioneer, a Pion.
So, but the issue is that these T-72s here get one-shotted, the others don't. Like, so it doesn't make any sense.
Like, oh, that's actually true, yeah.
Yeah, the issue is that you want to have the 17 frontal armor ones. Yeah, like, that's why the T-72M1 is such an insane tank, and that's why it had to get nerfed so hard, because the 17 frontal armor is a world of difference in this game currently, where we have a lot of AT planes, and all of them have 30% AP. And yeah, the MEV gets one-shotted. The T-70M1 doesn't get one-shotted, and the chance that 2 missiles hit is pretty low. The chance that 1 hits is pretty high, so risking that is pretty bad here.
Yeah, so despite getting those, sending those infantry forwards and then pulling the tanks back, Motto Aufklärer has been put into a nice position for Ranger, and even though there is a single tick of leadership here for Sneaky Kid, but the Sparokhroniarcha leader has not gone and secured the final point, though this is only half of the tick that could be given to the Polish. And as you said, this is a very weird pick for this map. The Polish can grapple. I've been playing them on my stream lately, and they're good at a lot of stuff, but they're really bad at this sort of slugging. They can't punch through heavy armor. They can't they have difficulties in doing like maneuvers. They generally have to rely on getting some older generation tanks or ASUs and massing them up and sending them in suicidal charges. And if they want to do anything, their most powerful fast weapon of attack is the large amounts of gunships. But even those gunships are going to be underperforming in this area where everything's so tightly woven.
Yeah. Cluster bombers and AT planes are kind of the only hope here. Oh, and I'm super surprised that Sneaky Kid didn't get the northern zone earlier. Like, that zone, center zone, not being captured at this point, that's 200 points or so left out lying there. And it's super important that you get as much takes as fast as possible here as the forward deployed division on this map. You usually should invest more into the center. We have the same issue that we had on Vertigo a couple of times by now, that the aggressive player overinvests into the town. You don't need to invest much in the town. The other side can't realistically beat one or two of your forward deploy units capturing it. So you only need to invest those two, and then you can invest more into the defense in the south. Otherwise, you just collapse in the south like we see here right now. And this is not looking good at all for the blue side. Losing the next AT plane, that's both of them down. And at this stage, it's going to be tough here for Sneaky to do much. Like I feel like the only realistic way of getting a comeback at this stage is a massive helicopter blob.
Yeah, there is a Pioneer, and it hasn't. I think it has been forgotten. It hasn't been fired or aimed yet. The Grad has been bought and is firing at an open ground right in front. Actually, kind of a good luck here, considering the tanks drive right into the salvo. But that's only a Grad, and the Grad is not powerful enough to stop those vehicles, so they can just drive past it. There's nothing on the zone. There's a helicopter, there's a FAGOP, and there are some PT-76s and an ASU 85s here. Everything here dies in a straight up fight against 9th. This is it's not even the investment into the north necessarily, but it was the fact that I think they should have aggroed down south as well. The north just is not enough. You need to be trying to get into the red zone, into Boris, and you want to force your opponent to start buying infantry so that you can fight them with your Nibiski Vereti, and your Sparokron Archer can be waiting there with the Metises on the sidelines. But when you allow your opponent to just wait until their tank reinforcements are up and then they go over the top en masse, there's very little that they can do to counterattack here. The rocket plane coming in after the AT plane was shot, and the rocket plane can maybe take out the Strela here, but this is just you're plugging holes in the dam at this point.
Nice. Gets the CV at least, keeps the +1 running for now. But yeah, the helicopter play is the way to win here. There's currently no AA, so helicopters actually have a good amount of room. But we have one of the Mi-24s with the Cocons already got killed off, so that is a massive issue, as those are your best AP power that you can get in this deck, so losing those is pretty big. The ASUs here, only good as a flanking unit. They have too little frontal armor to really be considered like a fighting tank. With 6 frontal armor, they get killed off really quickly. So you usually want to have them using their one advantage, which is the stealth, to try to get side shots. And their high rate of fire can get a second follow-up shot quite easily and usually as well. But that's not what we see here right now. The helicopters can push forward though. And there's only a Strela on the way now. But yeah, not enough movement here. That's the issue of infantry divisions on Vertigo. You don't want to be a sitting duck on Vertigo. You're easy to maneuver around, you're easy to be hit with artillery when you just have infantry. So vehicles, super important on the map. So yeah, just a bit weird to see the Korpus Dejandovi on this map here.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering here. The Grads are reloading, and the Howitzer is also reloading, but I'm just not really sure that. I know this is it might be bad manners at this point as a caster to say that this is already done when the points difference is so one-sided, at least seemingly so one-sided. But the Korpus was just such a bad pick on this map and on this matchup as well. The Vertigo Airborne requires you to start out fighting. Airborne divisions cannot last in the late game and against tank divisions without having the early advantage or using their early advantage. And on this map, especially the design of this map provides the slower player, the heavier player, such great positions to just keep building up as much as they want. They can bring artillery and air defense really closely, and the artillery fighting is cool, especially when the enemy is this concentrated tightly. But I doubt it will do anything game breaking, because even if literally all of these vehicles that are under grad attack got killed immediately, I don't think there are forces to push back here.
And we see the BMP2s and BMP1s getting hit. But as I said, I believe that the only way here to victory would be air and helicopter spam, but those forces already start to get attritioned as well. And yeah, you would need to get them in a way that the ninth can't just blob. Like currently, ninth is just blobbing, and ninth is fine with that. So you have to kind of force them out. Maybe try to flank through the north with helicopters, move a bit around there. Try to get the enemy fighters down with your MiG-29s and so on. But those win conditions, like I don't believe Korpus doesn't have any win conditions on this map. But you have to play towards your strength, and we don't see that here out of Sneaky Kid at all. And that is worrisome when you are already 40 minutes in and you only have 500 points advantage, and the 9th Panzer is getting more and more BMP2s, more and more BMP1s and T-72s on the battlefield. This will create a breaking point soon, where your little puny ATGMs of the Malyutka and the Fagot won't be enough to kill that.
Yeah, Malyutka does get an errant Strela 10, but there are no shortage of Strela 10s in the front line right now. And yeah, I think this is just Ranger seems to be playing this very carefully and very methodically, as they should. The longer the game goes on, the better position they are in technically. Another lone AT plane coming there, no siege protection, and does get the command tank and does escape so far. But those sorts of victories need to build up into something. And tank divisions can just bring out more leaders. The single kill here is not really relevant to the larger game.
Yeah, like one other way to maybe play this would be with a lot of smoke. You have those rocket launchers that can also be used to fire smoke shells. They're the only smoke rocket launchers in the game. And to just like make it so that the enemy has to get close to your infantry. That could be an option. The Dejant CV here actually trying to get into the zone. Trying to be sneaky. Oh no, the super important Mi-24V under fire by the Strela. Gets the Strela killed here. Lucky there. Really lucky there. Super stressed out. But yeah, needs to get the hell out of there. It's so important in this matchup. The CV goes down. Gets it back to a +1 here for a second. But that's not really what you want to be at. +1 with still 24 minutes remaining and only at 500 points. Because if Ranger can break through here, and Ranger should be able to break through towards Ivan, then a +4 is easy to come by, and that will easily get that point difference back up again.
Yeah, there are some Mi2 urns have been sent to do some flanking duties, maybe, which is good. If you have too many points and you don't know how to spend them, send somebody to flank. An extra coup, extra leader, extra recon. Everything here is everything here is happening to give Ranger basically the ability to play peak ninth, and peak ninth means just endless swarms of tanks and BMP2s. The concentrated firepower, not to mention the fact that if your opponent concentrates their forces in a small area, ninth also gets napalm rocket launchers. So they are possibly one of the best divisions to play on Vertigo, just for the fact that they can combine with their cheaper tempo tank attack, their artillery, their good AA, and their good infantry. Not to mention the fact that your air tab and helicopter tab are competent enough to support all of this, that there are no significant weaknesses, no obvious weaknesses for ninth.
Ooh, seed plane coming in though. But the coup is turned off. Strela and coup turned on now. Oh, but the rear coup is not turned off. But the seed does miss. So the coup actually might get the kill here on the seed. Nope. Strela might get the kill there. Yes, the Strela does get the job done. And here we now have the tank push coming. The fighters, at least, of the Ranger are dead, but the seed plane not getting one of those coups is a major issue. If one of them would have gone down, I would say helicopters actually might have a decent chance of just running here through here now, together with maybe a couple more planes, but that's not going to be the case here. And now we just see the sheer survivability of T-72s versus low-pen AT weapons, just rolling forward, eating those missiles, whilst more and more armored vehicles come up after them. And yeah, the Fagots run out of ammo before they can kill everything here. The rocket artillery is used really well, and kind of shows you what Sneaky Kid might be able to do here if they had actually some high pen units in their deck. Like, even another airborne deck with TOW2s or so could do a lot better at this scenario right now, but the low pen power of Korpus Dejandovi is just really painful at this stage.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know the logic of this. Like if you would have if I personally would have picked Desantova, I would have just gone all in on Boris. That's the sort of risk that you need to take if you want to force your enemy to play with infantry versus infantry. This here is just a showcase of how a map and a bad map combined with a bad matchup can kind of make the game look almost irrelevant. And this is once again, as people have said, in WARNO League and in WARNO in general, picks and bans win and lose games. I think as far as gameplay is, I think Sneaky Kid should have been applying some Latham's doctrine, so meaning that they should have bought a bunch of their planes and sent their planes out there together. The coups and the smaller groups of Strelas could have been overwhelmed if there was a combined usage of artillery, combined usage of siege planes, rocket planes, AT planes, all of them attacking at once to overwhelm this. That could have maybe given some a window of air superiority, and that could have allowed for the helicopters, for instance, to move in and start doing something. But at this point, the planes were sent in to do kind of routine missions one by one, maximizing the efficiency of Ranger's coup. And now that there's two coups at this point, I don't think, and the seed plane was already taken out, the milk has already been spilled, so to speak.
Yeah, we see the desperate defense here at this stage, but there is very little to defend with. The helicopters go down, and that's the last really efficient unit here, and even those should be can be overwhelmed with Stella. Is Sokol here actually getting the kill there with its Strela 2s? Good kill there, but yeah, we see the BMP 2s now pushing forward, T-72s coming in as well. Shilka's rolling in numbers to be able to deal with all of this, and yeah, there's just not enough left here. The CV coming in here for the +4 in a second, and that should end the game relatively quickly here. Yeah, I just don't quite get the pick. Like, yeah, Korpus is an okay division on some maps if you play it on urban front lines or so. There are some decent scenarios, Black Forest, like some maps where you can actually do some shenanigans behind the enemy lines, but still use your artillery. That is a major advantage over other airborne division, because you have good rocket artillery, you have good big gun artillery, and you still have helicopters and all. But that's not the map for this. Like, this is a tank fighting map. If you want to play Vertigo, play a tank division. Or if you, want to play a tank division, pick Vertigo, but not for Dejandovi.
Yeah, this is Ranger said in the chat that the 9th was a counter pick, that Sneaky Kid was given the chance to pick the division, and I think this should be this should serve as an example of how badly you can pick, frankly. Even if the idea here, the Pion takes out artillery and the aircraft and the rocket artillery, take out the tanks. All of this is functional, but it's not functional after giving the early game over for your opponent.
Yeah, I also think the positioning and so on here of Sneaky wasn't bad. Like, Sneaky still tried to make something good out of a bad situation here in the south. But first of all, Sneaky got into a disadvantage by not capturing the north fast enough, while still over-investing in there. So having 200, 300 points less in the more 300 to 400 points less in the south to fight with, and it's always a numbers game, especially if you are the lighter division. You kind of want to outnumber your opponent, and it was equal numbers here. What one side just had heavy equipment and the other didn't, and that leads to really bad trades, and really bad trades lead to really snowbally scenarios like this one here, where we have 8 T-72s besieging the rear zone here. We have a +2 now ticking up. We have a lot of BMP-1s with Modschützen coming in as well. There is still an SPW CV here around. Like, that might be the one scenario here for Sneaky Kid of sniping all the CVs and then somehow getting a CV into Paul or so. But yeah, the outs get fewer and fewer at this stage, especially with Le Ranger already being on the tick now.
Yeah, the Commandosi have moved out and taken some positions, not really tactically relevant positions, because I don't think Sneaky Kid can at this point start doing any flankings into the back points. On this sort of open ground, as we can see here, the Ranger has a rocket plane and 5 squads of Motorschützen willing to go here and thin out this attack. It's all the resources were sent to fight a woefully badly positioned tank force. There no amount of points at this point. I think if the Poles had doubled the income, I don't think they could break through this, just by the sheer fact that they don't have it in their deck.
Yeah, and we see the Me2 Urn right now cleaning up the artillery. Grad goes down, one of the most important units on the battlefield, and it's trying to go for more. That Topaz yacht comes in and will shoot it down here most likely, but it did its job already, so that is fine. Sneaky gets the zone back, but it's still 15 minutes. Like, this should be still enough. Like, the only win condition in my eyes is sniping the CVs, but there's another card of CVs coming up, T-72M1 CVs, so we saw one of those earlier, but that means at least 2 CVs still on the battlefield. And yeah, getting rid of them all is not going to be easy, especially if you use your planes like this and just let them get killed. And yeah, Malyutka's coming up. A permanent smoke screen around Ivan maybe could help out here. Like, smoking it so that the enemy has to push into your infantry. Then we saw some anti-tank infantry earlier deployed by Sneaky Kid. It's mostly deployed in the north right now, but like having those with the double 18-pen RPG and so on, and then just constantly smoking here, then firing SPGs and anything that moves in, that could maybe do something here, but that's not what we're gonna see here. Now we see the big tank push here coming in, and that should do the job.
Oh, but the rockets might actually accidentally take out this SPW. Oh no, 8 was not enough.
Yeah, and the CV of Sneaky Kid died here. And another plane goes down. The coops are set up. The Shilka's coming around. Ooh, the snipe on the CV! Ooh, this is key. Yeah, this is the one win condition that Sneaky Kid has. Getting all the CVs. T-72M1 leader coming up. That would be the one single out. But having the eyes on this now will be tough, because the Ranger can just keep on rolling to the spawn. So yeah, this might be the one win condition. We don't see another CV just yet brought onto the battlefield. T-72 MEV being shut down. BMP is pushing through the infantry, hitting RPGs, but that's not a problem. There's so many vehicles here, and the infantry gets stunned down quite quickly as well. The Fagot ATGMs trying their best as well, but against the T-72s they just don't do anything. And yeah, that's all the units gone there. BT-76s won't do much either. And the T-72 MEV just keep on rolling forward.
Yeah, somebody here said that or in a YouTube chat that Ranger is getting beaten back by 180 GM and 2 ASU. At no point of this game has Ranger been beaten back. Ranger has recognized that they scale better in the late game. So any engagement that is not perfect for them, they have no reason to take them. They were given the perfect conditions to build up as much as they wanted, and they are playing to win. The immortal words of Total Biscuit: when you're ahead, get further ahead. Right now, the Nibiski Beretti PT-76s have gone into the backline and done some damage to two BRM-1s. But
Ooh, and we
funnily
see
enough,
the one CV here trying to sneak in for the rear. Yeah, it seems like Sneaky Kid has the right ideas here, but two T-72 CVs on the battlefield now. Second one has come around, and the first one is about to get into Ivan, and I don't see anything stopping it from doing that. Oh no, the CV of Sneaky also running into the BRM-1K in the north, so most likely gonna die there as well. Yeah, there we go, immediately shut down, so no Sneaky action into Paul. The KD just is too bad at this stage. The AT infantry just came out, but it's not an Ivan, it's far from it, and that means that won't
there
be able
are
to stop the
three.
T62
The,
M1K, and that will be ushering in a +4 error here, and that will end the game pretty quickly at this stage.
Yeah, there are three Polish AT infantry units just a couple of meters away from being able to fire at these T-72s, which I think is quite funny. But I think the infantry is also so bunched up that whenever fighting starts, I think they'll all get stunned down really fast, unfortunately. But it would be nice to see what it looks like when 6 RPGs fire at the same time.
Ooh, Coop coming in for a MiG-29 again. Yeah, another MiG-29 just wasted there. And the T-72s will come in forward here for the middle. And yeah, I like the ideas of Sneaky Kid here for in the southern engagements. Like, the engagement decisions weren't terrible, but the division pick and the general strategy, the general win conditions weren't recognized well enough, and that just leads to games like this. Like, even when you maybe out micro your opponent, like I would say Sneaky Kid had better micro in this game, you still get beaten absolutely bloody by just the pure this positioning in formations.
I'm willing to say that Sneaky Kid did have better micro here, but honestly, Ranger didn't need to concentrate on micro. I don't think Ranger even cared the micro that much really, because it was all about the macro. It's the macro economics, macro warnomics here carried them to the end. The sheer amount, you just buy out your whole tank tab as ninth, and if nobody stops you, you keep buying that tank tab. Sooner or later, there's going to be a critical mass that the enemy just can't deal with.
Yeah, more BT-76 is
Ooh,
coming in
another.
here in big numbers. Artillery is still trying to do its thing, but it does miss the AA. T-72 M1K there is around. Another T-72 MK moving forward. But yeah, even if there's a snipe now on the two CVs, I don't think Sneaky Kid will be able to recover Ivan at any point. Yeah, we see just all the Special Forces infantry being deployed into the open, and there's just so much HE fire raining down on them, just annihilating them there. And that is kind of the end of it here. The BT-76 blob will try it once more. They deal a bit of frontal damage, but only one per hit against the T-72s, so the T-72s one-shot them. So even with this many PT-76s, you at best might get one of those T-72s here before you get shot into pieces.
Yeah, the game here is ticking down now. Ranger has finally technically gotten the superior number of points here, and I don't know. I don't as a caster, I don't think there's a lot that I can. I haven't figured out a lot to say except to say bad things about this map, because the passive nature of the north, the all-in nature of the south, the fact that if you invest troops up north, there is nowhere to go except attempting to raid your enemy. But if you try to raid your enemy's supply lines,
it's quite easy to with a single recon unit to spot the whole of this open area, such as the BRM-1 has basically detected everything that has tried to move out of there. This I dislike the fact that I think this map is so mechanical. It's so straightforward, and it's straightforward, but not in a good way. It's but in a bad way, in a way that locks the. If a player wants to play properly, they have to metagame, and they have to acknowledge that the map basically favors early, strong concentrations of units in like medium range. And the only way, as a close range division such as the Korpus de Santova, the only way to prevent these medium to long range engagements is by doing very risky gameplay to immediately try to get into Boris and the hills right of Boris. And even then, it's still not that. Even then, the enemy player, the heavier player, will have a lot of superiority in the late game.
In my eyes, this map has no problems whatsoever from a like the rear zones in the north could be somewhat nice, but in League I don't see the problems. Like, yes, it's a bit imbalanced for 1v1 on rank, and if you're in the faster division, that's annoying. But having a slow map like this in the pool for League is great, and both players knew that this was the map coming, so you can't play the map for that. You have to blame the players for taking the wrong picks for it. Like, that's why I always argue for vetoes on the ranked map pool, so that you can veto out maps that are not in favor of your division and like super against what you want to play, similar to how other RTS do it. But when you pick it in League, you know what's coming, and you shouldn't be surprised by that. So you can play to those advantages. And the games we had on this map in League and the games you have in Ranked when the divisions are equal are usually quite interesting and quite fun, because yeah, they are a lot about small little micro decisions, small little engagements, and everybody knows what's up, and it's in your face, and that's why I like this map. I am not against Vertigo, though obviously when we played it super much in the last rank pool because there wasn't that many maps, it got a bit boring, but it's way better than Two Lakes in my eyes. It's just that we have a wrong pick on this map, and that's really the issue.
So much better than Two Lakes. I let nobody claim that I said that this map is worse than Two Lakes, but I just think that I think it's that the veto system, I think, would be a nice compromise for ranked play, and I think the veto system would also kind of help develop this game's culture and help people play more underrepresented divisions in ranked as well, so that your WARNO experience, in my opinion, shouldn't be completely basically revolve around the meta divisions and the meta picks. And I think the veto system would kind of lead things towards that direction.
Yeah, in the end, here we have the Ranger winning with 2,000 points, different with 7,000 points destroyed. Sneaky still did destroy a good amount of forces here, but yeah, just didn't work out because the early game just wasn't explosive enough here for Dejandovi to capitalize on any major gains. And yeah, you need to play more towards the weaknesses of your opponent, and you just can't let 9 build up like that. It will just roll you over and you will die, and that's exactly what happened here. You need to do something funky. Maybe a smoke rocket launcher opener with a lot of infantry pushing through that smoke and the yachts inside, or something like that. Like, there's a good couple of options with Korpus, but none of them were taken, and that just led to a pretty obvious defeat here. And I hope game number 2 will get us a bit more interesting matchup here, as we're gonna go into a short break, guys, and then we're gonna be back with game number 2. So here we go, everybody. Game number 2. Sneaky Kid versus the Ranger. And we have pretty interesting matchup here. Black Forest is the map. That's a pretty cool map. And we have the Ranger with the meta division here out of the two. 5th E Blindee coming in here. 5th Blindee coming in. Whilst Sneaky Kid playing a somewhat off meta division that has some cool units in it for sure though. With WARNO first, we see the deltas already setting up. And once more guys, if you want to support the tournament, you can do so via Matcherino. And you can click the claim code button up here and add 25 cents to the prize pool completely for free. Nothing paid by you guys. Directly money into the prize pool that gets paid out in the end. And if you want to help out with bigger contributions, that's always welcome as well. Thanks to all the guys that did so already. And let's get back into the action here in the Sneaky Kid versus Little Ranger game. And what do you think about the WARNO first pick into this matchup?
I love 1-0 first on this map because I have one specific strategy that I really like to execute, and that is the Green Berets ODA and air rifles drop right into the town at Alpha. And we already have 3 Chinooks being bought with these super heavy infantry squads, but 2 of those are unfortunately going to Charlie. I think this might be a big enough tempo hit to risk the whole operation unless the ODA is going to hold the western entrance to Alpha for reinforcements. But those reinforcements so far have not been bought. The Deltas are going into... The Deltas are transported in Special Forces Humvees, which means that the Humvees get 120 kph road speed, basically. So they can get in places where other people's can't, and the Deltas will have both the exceptional stealth and the Carl Gustavs. And with their veterans, the Carl Gustavs will be very deadly. So the violence that can be inflicted by the Deltas to unsuspecting deployers is massive. And the Deltas are going to try to secure the middle of the Bravo entrance. And there's even a backline Delta going right into the position that we saw in the Division 4 games, the Foxes hold, which I think is probably the most reasonable and safest position to try to do some backline actions. 1-0 first has a decent component of M1 IP tanks, numerically inferior to the French, but quality-wise completely superior. They have a lot of Apaches. They don't have a great air tab, but they do have a lot of good fighters, including the F-15s and Phantoms. And they can bring out so many units with helicopters, and these helicopters, despite being expensive, can generally sell themselves. And with the 245 speeds, they are some of the fastest transport helicopters that you can get. I'm just quite worried that 2 of these 3 heavy units are going into Charlie, whereas Charlie is not really a position that the red player wants to push for. Not when it is obvious that due to the forward deployment advantage, due to the deltas, it's not really reasonable for the armored player to go out there. So this is already a bit of a misinvestment for Sneaky. Let's see if Sneaky realizes this and then reloads these units and then tries to move them into Alpha. But even then, a lot of the opener speed will have been lost.
And on the other side, we have a massive armored formation. We have all 4 Brennus's deployed from the get-go. 3 AMXs in front of it. The only infantry we got is 2 Recon Dragon Para. And 1 Roland here, SAA, 1 Mirage coming in to hunt down Chinooks. We don't see any airplanes on the other side. That's risky with the Chinooks as well. Chinooks at least did land preemptively here when they heard the siren, I guess. So at least the Green Berets got out alive, but they need to get moving right now. Oh no, the Green Berets are still sitting in the open. They need to get into the building. They start moving now. But that's only for cover. Okay, now they start moving a bit further forward, but the AMXs might already be coming for them. The Green Berets need to get into the action here. This is not optimal. The Chinook can give some fire support with the minigun. So the infantry here is in trouble. Yeah, the Dragon Para gets shredded there by the minigun. But the MX-10 is a problem. And we see the arrow rifles from the hill at least starting moving down on foot. So that's an okay signal as well. The deltas will get into the rear zone here soon. But the question is, can units get towards Alpha here, and what kind of AT weapons can Sneaky Kid deploy here? We have one TOW 2 coming in. There is an Apache on the way with ATGMs. But do we have any AA here really that can help out with that? Double Chaparral coming in as well. In the case of the Ranger, I would try to send one of the AMX-10s a bit further around and try to get into the rear as well. But for now, Ranger is happy with the center fights. Oh no! One TOW 2 got taken out in the north. Okay, that's a pretty expensive and really important AT weapon lost there pretty early on.
Yeah, I mean, Sneaky has both an Apache ATGM, the most expensive Apache, and the most valuable, some would say, instead of something like the Apache ATAS that could maybe fight off an enemy fighter. And the first buy after the first minute tick was 2 Chaparrals. And these Chaparrals are going to work further on in the game, but buying them instead of something more active, such as a Phantom or even an Eagle, is, I think, taking up a defensive stance a bit early. I think there is no tank, no infantry reinforcements are coming in here, so all the damage that these Brenuses can, supported by the AMX-10s, can do is damage that won't be resupplied in a moment. There are decently long resupply routes, and even when the 101st units get deployed at 100 kph, the French can do so much damage. The Brenuses and the AMX-10s, supported by fast deployed commandos who have now been deployed in the middle of the town, basically, I think 2v1, I think they can maybe take out the ODA.
Yes,
if well
they can.
controlled. But two more commandos are coming in to reinforce the rest of the front line here. And Ranger's buys seem to kind of speak towards a learned plan, a tempo of buying units in a decent order, whereas Sneaky is both the Chaparral buy as well as the Apache buy. Both seem suspiciously defensive, which makes me think that these might be reactions instead of planned.
Ooh. We see the Ranger trying to get Sneaky with a MX-10 RC subplane going down the southern route, but that will run into the Delta or Sneaky there. So the Sneaker gets sneaked right there. Meanwhile, Green Berets, yeah, on the edge of the town, not aggressive here. And as the 101st, you kind of want to usually be the one pushing here, because you have the weak artillery, you have less armor, you don't have any IFVs. F-15 getting a bit too close there, and it gets taken out immediately, and that all for trying to shoot down a Super Puma. That is not worth it. You can't afford your F-15s diving on helicopters. Like, in most scenarios, that's not a thing worthwhile. Oh no, the AMX actually sees the Delta! Oh no!
Yeah, the Delta was in a really bad position there, because the Delta was in a position to fire at incoming vehicles with its Carl Gustav in their front armor. Instead, the engagement rules for the Delta have now been set to nothing, so they can hold next to the building without
yeah, but it has been spotted, so it is useless at this stage. It will just get cleaned up, and or it at least should be. The Suppliant is hunting for it. Yeah, this didn't work out at all. That was so important at this stage, because I think the rest of the map is not developing into Sneaky's favor. Sneaky has the helicopter. If the Apache can get a couple of kills here onto some AMXs, and they can get that pretty quickly, because they have a high capability ATGM. One-shots the Brennus even. No, doesn't quite one-shot the Brennus because of the extra hit point, but one-shots the normal AMX-30s, so that could be a way. The Delta still might be able to get one kill here. Yeah, okay. Good maneuvering of the Delta itself. As it might even get a second one. Oh, lucky Sneaky there. Good movement with the Delta, but if Ranger would have microed that a bit better, that shouldn't have happened. But Sneaky at least getting some value out of this whole shenanigans. Whilst the Green Berets now get overrun by the Commandos. Another reason why the French are a really strong division at the moment. They get really strong infantry there in form of special forces, something that most other armored divisions don't get access to. And especially none that are so cost efficient in other tabs as well. But,
But the HE
good
bomber
bombing
panic.
run of the HE bomber. Gets out alive. Roland 2 not getting the second shot on target there. Whilst we have arrow fireteam dragons and arrow rifles in the north. Being spotted by a Dragon Parade though, so something needs to happen against the MX-10. That could be done with the helicopter though. There's no reason why the Apache couldn't hunt that down right now in the north. And maybe put up some pressure then. Like, the Apache needs to be more active. The Apache is a super expensive unit. Yeah, there we go. You need to have it do something. And it is trying to do that thing right now.
Yeah, and the Apache is really good at defensive because it's a long range of 2,800 meters and its fast firing rate, as well as its pretty decent ECM of 20 and speed and health. Means that as long as you keep it behind your lines and engage at your terms, so finding out where the enemy is,
Oh no.
positioning your
Oh,
units,
this is not good.
range.
The F-15.
Oh, the
It
other
gets out
vehicles getting
alive,
taken
but
out.
it flew directly over the Roland 3s. Yes, it has 40% ECM, but the Roland 3 is not something you toy with like that. You can't risk your F-15s. They're so key because you need to keep them to keep your helicopters alive. And here
The
comes the little
Apache-
bird Apache combo, MX-10RC on the run. But that might allow Sneaky to get the capture in the northern zone here. Maybe rotate a bit around and get some damage in there, but Mistrals and so on are already coming in, and that's the issue. The AA of the French also really strong. Mistrals and Roland 3s are fantastic AA.
The gun AA also isn't that bad, and not to mention the autoloader Auf 1 artillery that has a salvo length of 6 and with a very fast rate of fire that will be most likely enough power to break through these deltas even without all of these Brennuses that are also providing cover. There are two MH60 DAPs as well as a Little Bird, and I think this might be a little bit too much invested into the helicopters here. The DAPs don't have hard weapons, and
Oh
now
no!
two planes diving the Apache, no helicopter can fight mechanized against mechanized anymore. These MH60 DAPs are in a wrong place, and they don't have any cover from the fighters aside from landing, which is what they do now. And they need to be repositioned in a completely different location.
Yeah, and that's
That is
the
also covered
moment.
by the
Like,
fighters.
that's really the moment where the two F-15s should have come in. But they have
Yeah.
been both thrown away to hunt down a fighter, to hunt down a useless helicopter, and that's why you can't afford your F-15s to go on hunting sprees. Because you need them defensively here. That's where two F-15s coming in, just beelining for the Mirages with their high speed, shooting down the Mirages. That trade could have been super positive for Sneaky Kid. Instead, it's a total disaster at this stage. And yeah, this is once more not looking so hot right now, because that helicopter play in the north, I feel like it was the only kind of hope here. Now an F-15 comes around, but that's the third already bought, and that means that there's so many points invested into the airplanes, and you can't afford that because you need to get some ground units here to stop the MX-30s, and they are just keeping pushing forward. You have a lot of TOW-2s and the high power Hellfire missiles and so on, and all of those are great against the French, but you need to get them in positions, and this is not working out right now.
Yeah, Rangers once again fighting on their own terms. They're not pushing before they have the AA up. They have a pretty solid front all around the map, except maybe covering against the. Oh no, wait, no, they have a Surblind covering the even the backside here. The Yeah, this is so far Sneaky Kid. Sneaky Kid is bringing out the first tank, but it's a zero-vet IP Abrams. The zero-vet means that even with its technological superiority, if it just gets under fire by these Brennuses, it will most likely lose the fight quite quickly. A Little Bird gets taken out by the Roland here. Roland has an excellent anti-helicopter range of 3,000 meters, which means it combos really well with tank blobs. It can act both. It fires two missiles quickly in fast succession, so it can both work as an anti-helicopter maneuverable unit as well as hold the line as a long-range anti-plane missile. It's like 5e has a lot of good units. It has a lot of good units, I gotta say. Very few units in 5e that are not exceptionally good, I have to say. And even with 101st having collections of good units, 101st, especially on this map, especially against 5e, once again, the same problem as in the earlier game, needs to be more decisive. The aggressive division fighting against the heavier division needs to aggro. Otherwise, it just loses its main reason, the main power base of the division, which is the ability to start out the game with these deltas taking ground, followed up by these fast deploying, expensive but units that with expensive helicopters that and none of this we just never saw this. We saw this them take ground, and afterwards it's been sneaky kind of in a holding pattern here. And you're very correct about that. There should be a fighter plane ready to challenge the Mirages. The Mirages are not as good as the American planes. They have way less weapons. The Mirages are fast, and they're really efficient at going against those helicopters because they have large gun ammo and good guns. But in standard infantry fight, standard fighter combat, the American should be leading this.
Yeah, the F-15s should have slaughtered that, and 2 F-15s on the ready as the defense to protect your helicopters would have been so big. Instead, we saw around 10 helicopters by now dying to AA fire here. Like, the slaughter of helicopters has been massive, and that is just not something that you can allow. Like, that's your only win condition here. Having those mobile helicopters with Hellfires that can one-shot the AMX-10s, AMX-30s. Like, the high penetration of your ATGMs is your only win condition as 101st here. So you have to play to that. And not playing to that at all, not being the one that maneuvers so that the enemy has to maybe get a bit out of position a bit with their recon, maybe has to get out of position a bit with their AA so that your helicopters can sweep in, that your Humvee tows can sweep in and get a shot off. Like, those are the kind of gameplay moves that you have to do here at this stage, and we didn't see them at all. And now F-15 here most likely even gonna die to the Mirages, because it is just getting outnumbered at this stage, because too many of the F-15s have been thrown away and will get out, but the Mirage is still around. The helicopter is in a bad spot, and it's not looking good for Sneaky here at all. Still holding out a bit, but yeah, just not trading. And yeah, you have to think about what you want to do in a match like this. Like, there seem to have been little game plan here. Like, I feel like Sneaky just autopiloted into both of these games, and that's not something you can allow on League. Your enemy will have a game plan, and if you don't come with one, you most certainly gonna lose to his or hers.
Yeah, and you're gonna wanna, like, even if you don't know what your opponent is doing, or even if you're not familiar with a certain matchup or whatever, just do something. Just be daring, take a risk here. It's so, like, playing something like 101st, you're not really allowed to try to win the game on slow trades. Units like Green Beret exist to be used. If you get that single Green Beret in the town at Alpha, you can shift click it all around the map. You can hide it. It can fight off helicopters because there's so many of them. It has 8 rounds of AT4, so it can kill reinforcements. These are units that require you to be decisive. And even if the the air rifles have now managed to get themselves a sneak into the town of Alpha, the Humvee CP might get in there for a moment, but yeah, there is no way to salvage this for Sneaky, I don't think. This was way too reactive, and divisions that rely on fast, decisive units such as helicopters or airplanes, they need decision. They need decisiveness. They need a plan.
Yeah, your plan can't be, I try to get to a +1 somehow and try to win it like that. You have to consider how to either get all the zones or destroy your enemy. And neither of these things were attempted in these games. And in both of those games, the division that Sneaky picked necessitated those kind of decisions. Like, the Ranger put himself a bit more into the reactive position, but even then, had a better game plan here of just consistent armored concentrations trying to move around, and that is exploitable. Like, if you move around it, if you get better sneaks into the enemy rear lines, like we tried to we see attempted with the deltas and stuff like that, if you put up helicopters to land your AT rifles behind the enemy lines and get in there, if you move your helicopter plop around faster than the enemy can move the AA and shoot down their fighters with your fighters, then all of this can work out for WARNO first, but not in a scenario like this. And
Yeah,
now the
it's
P4 comes back
a
here,
bad
the
plan
plus
is better
one,
than no
only gonna
plan.
take up for a
Even
couple of seconds.
Yeah, even a four helicopter drop into the enemy town is a better plan than no plan, and because that would have forced Ranger to start buying units that they didn't necessarily want to buy at that point. One of the best ways to fight against tank divisions is to try to force them to buy infantry. Don't allow them to save up to get all of their fancy toys on board. Keep sending your affordable and fast transported air rifles into the meat grinder. Keep supporting them with your Apaches and your airplanes. Keep try to take control of the game, and in that way, because you can't necessarily. I mean, you can in the late game maybe you can have a tank blob with 101st first, but all of this here is just. It seems to me that Sneaky is playing a tactic that would be better served for something like 8th Infantry.
Well, I don't feel like Sneaky is playing any major tactic at all. I mean, that's my biggest issue. Like, as I said, I feel like Sneaky's individual unit movements are fine, but there is no game plan behind that. And especially in the game where you get the counter pick, you have to figure out a game plan. Like, you have to figure out, okay, the enemy has these and these weaknesses, and like being one-shotted by TOW2s is an absolute weakness. Like, that's one thing that can get the French. So picking one of first can make sense here, but then you have to absolutely focus on getting that job done. Like, in general, I still believe one of first is the weaker division here. 5th Blindee together with 56 is on the throne of divisions. It's most likely the best NATO division in the game right now. But yeah, you still can play around its couple of not quite weaknesses, but like characteristics where it can be hit, and that's not what we
it
saw
doesn't
here.
have weaknesses, frankly. Yeah, the Apache ATAS here, like the Apache ATAS would have been the first. If you want to buy a first Apache in this sort of a situation, you want to get the ATAS. The ATAS will be able to fight off enemy fighters. The enemy may not be willing to send a single fighter against the ATAS, so you may get some breathing room there because they have to wait for a second fighter. And also the 8 Hellfires is more than enough you need, more than enough for most tasks. So these sorts of buys, I think, kind of betray maybe not being that familiar with 101st. And as you say, they're not playing any specific strategy. And if you're not playing any specific strategy, you just want a comfort pick. If your comfort pick is 39th, then and you want to play standard, then you want to be playing 39th. You want to be playing the division where you don't have to think about this stuff, where you can actually go on autopilot. And for me, I have some divisions like that, 24th, MNAD at this point. And even if you don't have to be the biggest and strongest competitive WARNO player to just have a small stable of divisions that you're comfortable with. And if somebody goes in and gets 5e, the hyper overpowered super division 5e, then just even if you don't have the plan, just let's pick out a comfort division. Let's play the way that I've been playing for hundreds of times.
Yeah, we see Aero Fireteam Dragons coming in, we see M1IP coming in, but the amount of stuff here on the battlefield once more looks similar to game 1, where there's just a bit too much here. And yeah, the ATAS might get repaired, and we still have a couple of F-15s, but we don't have the critical mass of helicopters that you could use. So, and you can't rely on the M1IP to do the job. Like, cost efficiency wise, the M1IP just sucks compared to the Brennus. It doesn't quite two-shot them. The 17 pen gun is not great. And frontal armor is nice, but frontal armor doesn't mean nothing if you get stunned down, because then the enemy can move for a side shot or just ignore you. And that's the issue with armor over penetration kind of tanks in WARNO. Armor doesn't matter if you still get stressed out next to it. And the M1AP absolutely do get stressed out next to it, and then the price here is not great. Jaguar trying to come in here, gets damage in. Second Jaguar might find the kill, not quite. M1AP sturdy there, but now combat inefficient for a long time.
Yeah, here a sneak is another sneak attack going to the same place as the former sneak attack, this time with an air rifle as well as an air rifle leader. Can I point out that the Green Beret is actually doing garrison duty at Charlie? Like, this is just a kind of a misuse of a 100-point super powerful unit. If you're gonna do some sneak attacks, if you're gonna send infantry units in the forest, might as well send the Green Beret, you know? It's really powerful. Not necessarily strong enough to fight off 4 French infantry squads with their supported AMX-10s, but good try.
Chasseurs moving around here. Blackhawk under fire. Roland 2's coming up here, so the AA is getting stronger as well. A rifle leader here trying to run away from the Chasseurs. Chasseur is really good infantry as well. Has a sniper rifle. Well, the AH-64 ATAS here trying to move around. Trying to get into a new spot. And yeah, the +2 here for Ranger starting to tick in. Gets a kill here on the quick fix. Humvees and Deltas trying to move to the front line. But one M1IP already down, and there are just no forces here to really hold anything. The HE bombers are not used in a cohesive manner either. They're just thrown in there, and yeah, it's kind of over here. And both games, I feel like Sneaky came in with decent gameplay from the just pure mechanics, but not enough focus on how you win WARNO games.
Yeah, I'd say Sneaky should maybe watch some WARNO League casts, because we have of course the meta is not the same as it was back during Season 2, where most of the casts are, but I think watching especially these lower division games, a lot of information to be gained here, even if you yourself are a little bit too timid to want to play 1v1. You can still understand the core ideas that are going around here regarding, you know, divisions and their qualities pretty well by watching streamers and the tournaments.
Yeah, ATAS coming around here, trying to get some side shots. Oh, like, yeah, somebody said defending WARNO first pick. I defended the WARNO first pick. I don't think the WARNO first pick is bad. As I said, I think it has some openers here with TOW2s, with ATAS. Like, leaving 5E open is a bit weird. Like, usually the 2 bands that you want to make is 56 and 5E most likely on most maps right now. Maybe second UK, like, but you can get the bands out there. But the ATAS here is pretty good. Jaguar coming in, Deltas and Aero Scouts under fire, getting smacked here. M1IP coming forward, and as I said, I feel like the high pen power of TOW2s, which you get in Humvees, you get as AT teams, and you get on Apaches, like, those can deal with the AMXs. Like, they one-shot them. So that's the way you want to play this. But that game was not played enough. And then you obviously want to use your infantry for alpha, where your rifle teams and your Green Berets, ODAs can beat the French infantry, which the French infantry is strong and okay on an infantry versus infantry base level, but the French infantry all pays a bit extra for their good AT weapons, which they can't really use against you. So your infantry is better on the infantry and infantry engagements in the long run. The Apache here missing too many Hellfires. Unfortunate, really unfortunate. What the hell is going on there? I'm not quite sure if it's unfortunate or if there's something. What the hell is going on here? if there was some weird movement with the Apache that was just slightly out of range and that's how the shots missed. I have no idea what happened there. How the Apache, with
It was
high
right on the
cohesion,
edge.
missed four Hellfires in a row. Like, there must have been something wrong there. Otherwise, that would have been the worst kind of luck ever. But I think it was something with the range.
Yeah, it was right at the edge of the Hellfire range. I want to qualify also that I don't think the 101st pick here is bad. 101st on this map, as I said, I personally like playing it on this map, and I just think that the 101st qualities were not used here, and that is why any kind of pick in a division that Sneaky would be more comfortable with would have been better.
Yeah, MX-30 is coming in. Grenadier Voltigeurs coming in as well. The Apache ATAS is getting repaired here, trying to come around. And we see a good couple of arrow stingers rolling onto the front line as well. Chinook coming in with arrow rifles 84 as well. And yeah, we see on the other side a Puma Kangaroo getting down there, getting the repairs in. But yeah, the +2 here taking up, and it's not gonna get any better here at this stage. The F-15s were thrown away early on. Like, you have to understand what units have to do which role in those matchups, and you don't need to hunt the helicopters of the French. Their helicopters are irrelevant, and even their infantry is somewhat irrelevant versus yours. You need to focus on how to deal with the tanks or how to avoid the tanks. And yeah, Jaguars coming in here on the other side. Arrow rifles coming in. As I said, I still like Sneaky's micro. That's why I think it's a bit rough here, because the basic gameplay mechanics on Sneaky's side are there, but the Ranger is just kind of getting a free win based on force composition alone on the battlefield, because it's just, even with the best micro in the world, it would be super hard to, with this position and the matchup, trying to win those engagements.
Yeah, there are so many positions on this map on the blue side that a Humvee tow can take very efficiently. The Humvee tow is 80 points, it deploys at 100 speed, and it can, as you said, do it can one-shot the AMX-30B2s, and the fact that the early investment went into that Apache ATGM instead of 3 Humvee tows that could have held the line and could have positioned themselves to protect this. The French fire support has at every point basically been free to move around and attack the stronger infantry squads and the deltas at their own will. And this was a series of bad buys early on, including the Apache, including the fighters for diving purposes, diving the helicopters right at the center of the map where the enemy anti-air is. These kinds of decisions put a massive hit into your tempo, because you have to spend those points, and even if the fighter survives, you don't get to use it for a while. And a lot of this stuff just builds up, and it can build up pretty quickly if the opponent is 5e.
Yeah, and we have the end of the game here now. The Ranger does win versus Sneaky Kid 2-0 and gets the W. And yeah, the Ranger, I feel like needs a bit more micro for future games. Like those tank plops did leave rooms open in both games where they could have been exploited by a slight better formation. And for Sneaky Kid, I feel like Sneaky either has to swallow the pill and just play meta divisions as well, and then you can play a bit more I just buy units and move them forward kind of style. Like, that can work out if you play 5th Blindee. That can work out if you play something like 39th or so, like some classic autocannon stuff. But if you want to play those fancy divisions, you have to play them fancy. You can't just A-click forward your units in a fancy division and a bit more two steps around the corner divisions and just expect them to win a head-on fight against 5th Blindee. Like, that's not going to happen. So yeah, if you want to play 101st, if you want to play KD, you have to come with a plan. and then they can work out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Sneaky. I kind of hope that he keeps playing these divisions, but comes with a plan. But I would fully accept Sneaky just picking the meta divisions as well, and playing a bit more in there directly into the fray as well. With that said,
Yes. Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah, like I'm thinking like Sneaky. If Sneaky got really into that, there's a lot of helicopters out here getting used, and a lot of air power, obviously. And I like Sneaky could play something like 35th, where the infantry investment wouldn't be as big, and that will give a little bit more space, cheaper fighters that can maybe suit the purpose better than the F-15s. You know, I don't. Sneaky is like you said, the mechanics, the positioning, they're good. It's just the larger decision making that's not up to par here.
yeah, and I hope Sneaky watches this, and maybe it was a bad day. They never know either, but has a bit more sass in their play next time, a bit more uh, finesse, and a bit more strategy coming into the match. Looking forward to more of these two guys in the future. For now, guys, we're gonna go into Division 1 and into two well-known players fighting it out. Tiberius Rancor versus Stardeck coming up
Hell
after a short
yeah.
break, guys. It's Division 1 time. Let's get the hype going. So here we go, everybody. The Division 1 game. The first one of the season. And we have two veteran players playing it out here. On the left side, Stardeck coming in with 4th Division, the new Dutch division. And on the right side, another Norfolk division from Tiberius, 9th US Infantry coming in. And that's going to be an interesting matchup, as both sides here bringing in new stuff. And one is a pretty heavy division, and one is a pretty fast and mobile division. And Kreide is a map that allows for both playstyles somewhat. So, what do you think about the 4th Division pick here, especially of Stardeck?
Fourth Division, personally, a big fan of it. I like playing it. As you know, M113 CNV overperforms very hard, I think. The only helicopters in the deck, of course, are the recon helis here, but the recon helis are taken out early on, I think, to make sure that the FAVs and the sniper M82s don't do breakthroughs here. The map might seem very wide, but actually, as far as movement goes, I think this actually is quite a small map, because the deployment, the reinforcement routes are short, and using the combinations of the terrain changes and the roads, you can move around here quite well, especially with the FAVs. And I think this is the Stardeck opener here with the massed significant, like even so many 4 KCT Verkenners as well here. Just wanting to make it clear that nothing will go past the all-seeing Stardeck eye. And behind this, there isn't that much fighting strength, but the Cheetahs and the Leopard ones will be enough, considering the weakness of Ninth is, I think, in early game fighting against even light armor. They can bring out the heavy TOW2s with the FABs. They can bring out their light rifles, their amazing infantry units, and of course they have massive amounts of grenade launcher transports for cheap for their standard infantry. And none of this really works that efficiently against something like the M113 CNV. And as we're looking at these deployments here, I think the recon helicopters are supposed to go and take the huge risk, and if they spot something or they spot the lack of something, the autocannon equipped recon vehicles can follow up fast. I think Stardeck is recognizing that this physically small area can work out very well for the Dutch. And even if it doesn't, in the late game, the Dutch will be able to bring out a lot of the Leopard 2s. The big weakness, of course, being that the Dutch infantry is completely inferior to every infantry squad that the Ninth can bring out.
Yeah, and here we go. The M113's coming in. The triple ATGM in the opener here by Tiberius is pretty interesting. And yeah, we see 3 supply vehicles coming around from the get-go, though. That's 60 points into something, okay. And we have an N5... NF5A here coming in from the get-go, and that could get some Blackhawks here right at the beginning of the game. That would be pretty massive. Okay, has to circle around once more. The Blackhawks, pretty fast transports, could get into position here. TOW 2 fire killing off a transport, that is not important. The more important part is what happens to the Blackhawks. One of them gets to unload here, the other one has to attempt the second time. Should be able to unload as well, though. And yeah, the FAVs here finding the Verkenners. Sniper is engaging. We have some light rifles coming around. We have the TOW 2s coming around. Light rifles in the north. Get the job done for now as well. TOW 2 vehicles here versus the M113s. The M113s in the center only now smoking up. One went down. Oh, light rifles driving into the Verkenners here. That's a full-on lost light rifle squad with the expensive AGL transport. That is pretty aggressive play without recon in front. Losing one of them directly in the transport, but the light rifle laws in the north, they can move a bit around. But this forest is super important on this map. It can cut off both sides pretty heavily and allow you to maneuver a lot. So whoever controls this forest has a massive advantage, and it's currently looking like StarTech is fully recognizing that and fully investing into it. And yeah, Tiberius playing a bit for the south, trying to push with a T60 into the rear zone there, but the KCT Verkenners holding off an M60 and killing a light rifles, that's not the traits you want to have here.
Yeah, speaking of traits, the Cock V, the Hellfire, destroyed in the middle a couple of M113s and pushed StarTech out of the middle zone along with the TOW 2 on TOW 2 Fav. But a vetted up rocket plane, which is I think the current meta pick for Dutch, the very cheap and kind of overperforming rocket plane, managed to take out the Cock V. And is currently flying around here, waiting to be destroyed by the unloading Chaparral. The close range fighting here, the Leopard ones are not suitable to fight even against the laws in this kind of close environment, and the fact that StarTech is pushing this infantry front here is a necessity. The Dutch infantry is not powerful enough to fight this, but with simply enough steel inside the forest, there could be a breakthrough here. StarTech already wanting the breakthrough by sending in another recon helicopter for pretty cheap. 35 points compared to the 30 points of the AGL transport that you call expensive. And if the helicopter gets through here, it could provide crucial information, allow a push through to the upper plateau. But right now there is a single M60 leader and nothing else stopping this. But of course, StarTech doesn't really have an efficient way of finding this out. They could donate a unit to the opponent, but that's really about it. Down south, the Verkenners are engaging the light rifles law in an engagement that's going quite badly for them for obvious reasons, though reinforcements are going in the form of the Panzer Infantry.
Yeah, as the rocket plane is trying to come in. It's struggling with the forest and the high plateau, though, so it's not getting the rockets on target. Yeah, rocket planes still a bit weird when it comes to trying to hit things in forests. F-16 will kill the BO. F-15 Eagle now out as well. We have a T-Chap in the north too, but there's little else there in the north. The COCV going down is pretty big. One of the TOW 2 recon vehicles went down as well, so all there is an M60 that can one-shot all these one frontal armor vehicles, so it still is a danger, but it will struggle to hold everything off on its own. A second M60 coming around, but against the Leo 1s, that is pretty... Yeah, it's still a bit better, thanks to the frontal armor, but it's still pretty equal footing, especially if the Leos get the first shot. So you still have to be careful there. M60's doing their job fine so far. Not the most cost-efficient tank at the moment, but with the F-15s in the rear, protecting against any planes, against the Leo 1s and the M113s, they can do the job, potentially. They struggle now against the Leo 1s, though. Leo 1s get the kill there. Recon didn't quite spot those. but at least the Panzer infantry goes down on the other side. F-15s here going for strafing runs actually against infantry. Not really getting the job done there either though. And the M60 on its own shouldn't run into Panzer infantry. They have a Carl Gustav. And I feel like Tiberius investing into the south way too much here. Might even get shot up by the M113. And the M60 leader on its own? What is it doing there, Tiberius? What is it trying to achieve?
I think there might be a little micro attention being pulled by the fighting. The cluster planes require micro as well, knowing that there are cheetahs out there. The micro failed, and the cheetahs managed to do a lot of damage with no bombs dropped. And the M113 CVs, as well as the small infantry push up the hill here, also demanded a lot of precise attention. The one armor Orlikon carrying recon vehicles, if they get close enough, they can do damage to the M60. And now
we see a kill onto the CV leader in the north as well. Like, yeah, those M60 leaders, they were pushed a bit too much there, and the trade just not working out at all here. And yeah, the rough position here for Tiberius. Buys another M60 leaders. I don't feel like those are the units that get you out here. I don't know what this leader is supposed to do. Like why not just a normal tank or some ATGMs or something here? But I don't see the out here right now for Tiberius. Those investments are weird.
Yeah, I mean, the M60 leader down south actually managed to take a completely free kill of the Panzer infantry due to Stardeck not paying attention and not ordering it to move the wrong way. But the M60s especially are so baffling because these are 40 kph, so the maneuverability is already as low as it can be. And in close ranges, the penetration can do damage even on the front armor. And if they get side shot, at these ranges, the Oerlikons can easily do a lot of damage to them. And at this point, fortunately for the M60, the IFVs have engaged one by one, but just a single hit from this Panzerfaust here could, the Carl Gustav here could end this.
Yeah, we see the rocket planes now coming in as well. They lost line of sight, but the Carl Gustav is going for the side shot, and I mean, he's pulling things in all directions. Like, he invests into planes to try to win a bit with that, but still gets hit by the planes of Stardeck every single time, so the fighters didn't really work out. He's moving M60s, CVs really around. Like, there wasn't any focus on any of the strengths here, and instead the M113s here with the autocannons just get to shred in and get the kills here. Light rifles with dragons get at least one of them. Have to reload for the second one. M60 gets hit by the Carl Gustav in the south now, and most likely gets wiped out, and those are units you just can't afford to lose at this stage. The M113s in the north at least get killed off, but if you now need to buy a new CV for the south, you just can't afford that. Like, 9th is not the most expensive deck out there, but it is not the cheapest infantry deck either, and you need to get that combined arms up, because without combined arms, without having its special little tools around, 9th just falls apart. It can't just trade toe-to-toe with autocannons.
Yeah, so Stardeck is repositioning the mech units up north, including the 2 cheetahs. They are moving these down to the middle to join in with the leopards, and apparently the attack is now moving towards the mid. The 9th has managed to get enough troops around this. We should probably find out a name for this area, because a lot of fights are going to be on this area with the light rifles and the Genie Works, and the cheetah is currently the kind of entrance of the plateau. And there was if you manage to break through there, especially with light vehicles, you have so much cover and you can do so much damage to your opponent. And but going toe-to-toe against these light rifles is just not really feasible. If you get under the 175 meter minimum range of the dragon, then you can get a free kill with a tank or a recon vehicle. But there wasn't enough micro there to get this done. Oh, the Eyehawk, and the supply of the Fort Dutch Eyehawk is out of position, so the Eyehawk did not fire. They could have maybe gotten a very important hit against this FA-16, but the FA-16 manages to run off.
Yeah, that's another really strong unit here. And like, if you want to play the air game with the seaplane, with the FA-16, like, you can do a lot of harm to the Dutch. But we didn't see that kind of gameplay here either. F-16 might even get shut down here now by the Dutch F-16. Luckily for it, this one is the one with only 4 missiles, so... but the guns are still enough, so yeah, that's another loss that you just can't allow to happen as Tiberius. Like, these are similar mistakes to what we saw from a Division 3 player in the last game here. I feel like Tiberius has the same issue. It's just, like, he tried to make a plan, but his plans just didn't make any sense. Like, whatever he attempted to do here just didn't work out at all. And he now has to try to adapt to it. And I feel like 9th has the potential for some big blowout kills to come back in this matchup, especially because the Dutch also have some expensive units that are somewhat easy to kill. Like, if you get a side shot against the Leo 2, it dies. But you need to do something here fast and soon, and I don't see it happening, especially with another important unit, Tokoper, going down. Like, the combined arms is just not existent anymore.
Yeah, with Tiberius, I think the 9th US's big problem is that it lacks modern MBTs. It only has the M60s, which means that they can't do late game attacks over long range as well as other divisions can. But on this map here I think this map here actually functions very well with 9th, considering their AGLs and light infantry can just win over the small tree lines, and all of these tree lines can hold ATGMs. They can hold even your weaker tanks.
Yeah, but you can't allow yourself to be air bullied by the Dutch here. Like, the Dutch are not terrible in the air. The F5s are decently cheap and all, but you have F15s, you have a lot of slingers, you have the Avengers that can move around as assistant as well, and you are supposed to be the one that wins the air here. Letting yourself getting air bullied like this by the Dutch is just absolutely not acceptable. So yeah, this loss is fully down to Tiberius not planning out. Like, not respecting the Dutch, and I feel like he planned maybe too much even, like trying to go 4 steps ahead before the game even started, and like moving those M60 leaders and so on around, and that's just moves you can't bring when your opponent is a Division 1 player as well. Like, that might be just the first game of the of the season. We just had a ranked reset, currently on ranked. A lot of players you face are not quite the same skill level as you, so you might be able to get away with bullshit. And yeah, Sadek just face-checked that and was like, yeah, no, you're not gonna get away with that here. I'm just gonna hit you with autocannons and light tanks, and you're just gonna die. And that's exactly what happens here.
Yeah, even using the NF5 AA fighter, that in my experience has just such weak weapons that it's not really worthwhile. But it does have 10 survivability, 10 HP, as well as 20 ECM. So it can fly around and provide air vision at the very least. It can work nicely in tandem with the Eyehawk, a budget fighter to go along with the Eyehawk, a bonus for the purchase maybe. But down south, the light rifles and NG rifles leader have managed to push through to the south. And the way to contest the southern zone, I think, especially if you are if your enemy has fortified it, is that you can just kind of hang around in the corner and try to avoid enemy artillery. But in this case, the M110 200mm artillery, way too powerful. You can't really even juke your infantry, especially not when they're National Guards and they get routed by the single salvo. And so far, and reinforcements are of course coming even to the southern point. Even a Leopard 2 getting sent there. Stardeck really recognizing that when you are ahead, you need to get further ahead.
Yeah, getting a TOW 2 here on target against the M60 and supply trucks. Like, there's just no units here on the battlefield anymore for Tiberius at this stage. F15 trying to go deep, trying to get some kills here against an F16 on the other side. Not having any seaplane coming out right behind it though. Like, that's the moments where you want to send in your seaplane as Tiberius to follow your F-15 that the enemy might want to shoot with the Eyehawk at, and then get that missile out there, trying to get the sneak seed kill. But that's not what happens here, and instead it's 2 more M60s down for no units lost whatsoever on Startek's side, and this is a surprisingly one-sided Division 1 game right now, especially considering the caliber of these two players. But Tiberius just not ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Tiberius hasn't. Maybe Tiberius played a bunch of games on ranked on Kryde and figured that, well, this is I got this figured out now, and didn't. Maybe they didn't find the time to scrim with good enough players on this map. Maybe they only scrimmed with a certain player and not necessarily somebody with the let's say aggro strategies of Stardeck, the capacity to build up a lot of bullshit, which is what Stardeck is very good at doing. I myself have copied Stardeck's the M113 as well as the Genie Verkener attack that can work out, that can give Fourth Dutch really nice openers in certain maps and certain positions to that they can then follow up with their heavier equipment.
Yeah, artillery here landing. M60 trying to push forward on its own here. COCV gets shot down. Light rifles trying to come in. More light rifles coming in for the south. Toe Cobra trying to roll in there. But nothing happening so far. The Mark 19 trying to push forward. Leo 2A4 gets the kill there. Toe 2 coming in. And there goes the M16 seaplane getting a Sheeta. Eyehawk shooting back, and yeah, like those F-16 kind of kills you need in better scenarios. You need more out of that kind of stuff earlier on, and instead it's just units driving over the open into Leopard 2s. That's not a winning strategy. And yeah, at this stage, I'm wondering why Tiberius is not tapped out of this game yet, considering how he currently approaches it. Maybe just trying to figure out what to do in game number 2 at this stage. But yeah, this is a bit of a disaster of a game number 1.
Yeah, I mean it's the new maps. Who knows what's going to be standard on this map? Who knows what broken angles or strategies or tempos we can find out about this. I personally am excited. I think Kryde might be one of my new favorite maps, and I predict that people were going to hate it because it is not it doesn't have immediate 3 lanes, and it is not immediate at how fast units can move around, and also it's the spawns are exceptionally close to the fighting area. So I think it kind of doesn't work as well, doesn't give as big of a boost for fast moving and fast transported units as some other maps do.
Yeah, and as we see here in the KD, it's a 2-to-1 KD here for Stardeck. That's always pretty telling in a top level game. And yeah, the opener was just not what the 9th Infantry needed, and it just continuously was a game on the back foot after that. The COCV dying to an NF5 rocket was a bad start already. The fight in the forest didn't play out. The aircraft of Stardeck got value non-stop. The planes of Tiberius never got value in the first couple of minutes, like the cluster bomber not hitting what it needed to hit. That was a super risky run against 2 cheetahs, and it just didn't work out and stuff like that. And yeah, just trying to jump too many hoops at once. And yes, 9th can be fancy, but you can't be fancy at all places at once. It needs a lot of micro, it needs a lot of attention, and it needs focus. And there was just not enough focus for this Division 1 game here.
Yeah, maybe it really was the overinvestment in the recon, the large amounts of the KCT Verkeners, the M113s providing just enough firepower to take out the stuff early on, not providing enough targets for all the expensive ATGMs that were holding the middle, and that maybe just over relying a little bit too much on the light rifle's ability to win those close range fights. I commented on Stardeck sending all the light vehicles into the town, into the AT weapon range, and that really did work. That was the correct move. That won Stardeck that whole position and possibly even the game. So who knows? Maybe Tiberius didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah, it maybe is the start of the curse. Finalists of previous seasons usually don't end up doing so well in the next season in League. And does it start here for Tiberius already? Can he turn it around in game number 2? We will see. Short break, guys. Then we're gonna be back with game number 2 with Tiberius versus. So here we go, game number 2. And Stardeck says never change the winning system, never change the winning team. And Stardeck on the left side, Tion Vertigo, is bringing around the same division with the 4th Division. But the really cool part is, Tiberius is like, okay, let's beat him with the same tank. And let's just bring out 5th Panzer, and let's just have a Layer 2 battle. And that is going to be really exciting, as those divisions have a lot of similar things, but they also have decent enough differences that this should be a cool little game here. And yeah, Tiberius with this slightly heavier division, I would say, with 5th Panzer, and also a bit more flexible at the same time. But the 5th Division here maybe a bit stronger in its strong points. So let's see, what do you think about the 5th Panzer pick here against this? Who do you think has the stronger division?
The 5th Panzer acts much like 4th in many ways, but crucially it is given a lot more light tanks. It gets way more than one card of Leopard 1s. It also gets Leopard 1A5s, which we're seeing getting brought here out en masse. It also gets the Roland 3s instead of the iHawks, and I believe it does get more Rolands than the 3 iHawks that are given for the 4th Dutch. It also, very crucially, does not get as well, it depends what you mean on powerful, but it gets a different kind of a recon component. It gets these 6-man Therspear squads that are pretty alright at destroying enemy recon squads and even fighting against enemy infantry, but the KCT Verkeners are 30 points cheaper, or like 40% cheaper, which means that you just get those extra points to put into your fighting units, where the Verkeners can hold out the side with their anti-tank rocket launcher maybe, but most importantly, they are fast deployed and they have a ground surveillance radar. Ferspeer also get it. Ferspeer are supported by the Lux, which is a 60-point recon vehicle that is very fast, has all right optics, etc. Not the worst autocannon though, whereas the cheaper 55-point M113 has a great autocannon, though it is quite slow. And so I think the recon, and there is no reason to heavily invest in the recon from the Tiberius side, from the West German side, but there is a significant advantage in getting all of these recon units on board, because they buy you the safety that you can run around with your 2 Leopard 2A4s and 2 Cheetahs. This is not an all-in investment, I don't think, but the tanks can look like an all-in investment if you have such a large and even maneuverable recon tab.
Yeah, Lux moving around, Fanspears coming around on the other side. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes here on the bottom of the map. If the Fanspears maybe can do some work there, but the BO 105s getting some really important intel here. Kind of similar flight pattern to how you use recon planes in Steel Division 2. Coming in here early on. BO 105 in the middle though, pushing the M113s back for now. And we see 4 Leo 1A5s and a Leo 1A5 leader versus the 2 Leo 2A4s. And it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. And like, the Leo 1A5s can clean up house with the M113s. They can clean up house with all the autocannon vehicles. But obviously the Leo 2A4s will destroy them, and the issue is, for the Leo 1A5s, they are slower. Like, yes, the Leo 1A5 is the lighter tank, but the Leo 2A4 has such a good engine that it still moves faster. And that might be a problem when you try to disengage here. F4F getting hurt pretty badly here as well in the air. But we have 2 roll-on 3s on the other side, so the NF5 rocket planes this time around shouldn't do super much. First one goes down already. So first small little victory there for Tiberius. But here comes the Leo 2A4, and oh no, Leo 1A5 already. Smokes too late! What a mistake! Tiberius! What? Where were you looking at this point? Like, how can you not smoke off your Leo 1A5 at that point?
I think they were actually microing the Lukes down south. Which
Oh
was
my,
really...
how can you, oh no. Microing the looks at the moment when this engagement happens is terrible, and yeah, here we go, the Leo 2A4s win heavily. Like, if the engagements happen like that, we know who the winner is gonna be. The Leo 2A4s...
a Leopard 2 buy immediately from Tiberius, and as well as another Leopard 2A4 being brought by Stardeck as well. And Tiberius down south seems to be kind of tasting blood and wanting to take the southern position earliest on, but the 2 M113 CNVs are moving there to support the Wegener's. So this is not going to be a free zone for Tiberius. One of the Tiberius's strength here is the fact that they do have ATGM helicopters, but due to the lack of anti-air otherwise in the Dutch division, they run the Cheetahs, and the Cheetahs are extremely powerful against these sorts of light helicopters. So the BO-105 got taken out real fast, or the PA-1 got taken out. And the first pair and Panzer Grenadier are moving into the Citadel area in the middle here, and they will be able to fight off the Wegener's, I think, especially if the mech doesn't move to support the Stardeck's recon units. But on the just on the tank side here, those were such catastrophic fights, and I don't think Tiberius has the resources to both invest down south and fortify the north well enough to fight against this growing Leo blob.
Yeah, he has the better infantry. He has the IFVs with ATGMs, which play a big role on this map as well. So he can do a good amount of stuff here. F4F coming in here, iHawk being bought on the other side. F4F hunting down the BO helicopter, but good micro there by Stardeck. Helicopter not getting hurt there. And yeah, the Fanspeer and the Panzer Grenadier here forcing the KCT out. The 1A5 revealing themselves there. Unimog coming in for repairing the 2 damaged ones. Whilst we have Leo 2A3 coming up here as the leader for the north. But it's a Leo 2A3, not a Leo 2A4. And it's fighting Leo 2A4s. And that's a massive difference. That's 1 pen difference and 2 frontal armor especially. And a bit of accuracy. So the Leo 2A3 is just a lot weaker tank. So yeah, I don't think that really shifts the balance. The Leo 2A4Bs have only 16 frontal armor, but they still have the better accuracy and a better pen. So they are still in an advantageous position. And the Leo 1A5s here just getting lost like that, this is not great.
Yeah, this is Tiberius is currently being daring and is trying to balance the fortifications in the middle, fortifications up north, and the takeover down south. I think Tiberius has rightly realized that Stardeck is not going to overinvest down south when Stardeck's forces are so tightly controlled around there. So with small investment of his own and decent enough micro, I think Tiberius thinks that they can contest south, and I think they're right. But you're not going to be able to get that perfect micro with 3 Leo 2A4s quite literally knocking down your front door.
Yeah, Milan 2 trying to come around here, but immediately getting shot up as well. Ooh, trying to go for the side shot there, only gets a frontal hit though, and now will most likely die for it already. Yeah, Milan 2 going down there, and there's too much firepower now. Like, the Tiberius already lost too many of his own units here to go for the overwhelming strategy. Like, Mari's getting hit, Lux is getting hit, Milan 2 is now getting hit, 3 Leo 1A5s already going down, for no Leo 2A4 on the other side down. Like, the losses for the overwhelming strategies are too high here, while it's not getting any picks on the other side, really. Like, not a single Leo 2A4 shut down. And those are the kind of planes, vehicles that you need to get here to get through this. Like either with planes or with similarly heavy things mixed in, or with just enough spread out forces. But he didn't try to spread out assault. He just moved his Leo 105s there into the opposite tree line and went into duels. And that's not a winning strategy either.
Yeah, there's this concentration point on Bravo, the Schwerpunkt or whatever, that all the Leo 2A4s are holding. As long as this exists, Tiberius is going to have to play around it. And Tiberius, I don't think, kind of numerically, it's going to be very difficult for Tiberius to grow, to get a stronger force there than is already has been built and is currently getting built. The Stardeck is applying mild amounts of pressure, constantly peeking out with the Leopards, using their mobility, which is their mobility and their ability to bring out some quick damage. The rocket is actually diving the Roland and managing.
Oh no! Way more importantly, the Leo 2A3 leader is already down. Like, I feel like Tiberius 2 times in a row didn't respect the Dutch division here. Like, what is he expecting to get here? Like, he's not going for his win conditions. Like, his advantages are the ATGMs he gets on his IFVs, and the advantages that he gets is the Leo 185, sure, but that's not a frontal tank. Like, that's a tank to have more tanks than the enemy with, maybe. That's a tank to mix in with a Leo 2A3 of your own to just have more vehicles running around, and win the stress fight in the long run by just having more tanks and having more things shooting up the enemy. But that's not what happened here. And instead, it's just going to collapse here completely. The Rolands need to run already. They are too slow here if the Leos actually want to hunt them down. And there's no tanks here whatsoever. Finally, an F4 FAT plane comes around, finally gets one of them. Like, that's what you want to see here. F4 F8A in the rear might even be able to get out alive. The F4 FAT, that's a key factor here. Leo 185 trying to get in. Will shoot up one M113, needs to get the hell out of there right afterwards. Cheetah going down here as well. Ihawk without supply, so that's nice. The second Cheetah here is pretty low as well. What the hell is this Feldhaubitze doing on the front line?
I think it's doing pro-commie things. I think it's close right there so that it.
Yeah, but why was it bought at this moment in time? I guess to maybe try to get the Ihawk, but there's so few units here. Like, why do you invest into? It's once more trying to jump through many hoops in before even getting ahead. Like, that's a unit that you buy when you're getting ahead, but you're behind here at this stage. You need frontline units. You need something to protect your Rolands, not a M113. Leo 2A4 at least goes down to the Leo 105, but that one is nearly dead now as well. And yeah, Stardeck is just taking over here. TOW 2 not quite going down to the M105. The F4 FAT still flying around above everything. Got the kill into the second Cheetah as well. But Ihawk now could kill it off, potentially. Ooh, barely takes too long to reload here. But Leo 105 goes down, and the trade's still not great here. F4 FAT is trying to find the hit,
just called the
but the Ihawk now gets a shot off. Close. And there goes the Rolands.
The Maverick.
Oh, what the hell? Tiberius. What happened here?
Yeah, the F4 with the 4 Mavericks could have been maybe, if that thing would have performed really well, then I think there was a chance here. Taking out maybe 2-3 Leopards out there and giving Tiberius back the option, the situation to build up a force. And as we have seen on this map, you need to have the punching power. You need to be able to slug it out. And especially when you're attacking a force that is in forests, you're going to have to drive closer. Your opponent will likely be getting the first shot due to their stealth advantage. So you need to have numbers. And they just are not on the board here.
Yeah, we see another Leo 2A3 here being bought. Stardeck lost a good couple of units now as well, but without the Rolands, the planes can come back in, and murder everything. The F4Fs are not good at stopping anything, especially not with Ihawks around. So yeah, there comes the planes. There comes the plane to kill everything, and there goes the Leo 2A3. And yeah, losing the roll-ons like this, like Tiberius seemed to be super out of it in this game. I really feel like he just underestimated the 4th Dutch and was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be the one in the driver's seat. And then Startek came around twice in a row and was like, what the hell are you trying to get done here? I'm the one in this driving seat, and if you don't join me on this ride, you're just gonna die. And that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah, we've used to seeing Tiberius be the player that everybody else has to catch up to. I mean, Tiberius's signature strategy with 5e is one that basically takes the positions before you realize that they even can take those positions. You know, breaking through, taking, basically putting out the rules of the game with their own understanding of the division and with their own excellent control of the division. And right here we saw the first of all the picks, the relying on the 105s would have been sensible if you were moving them early on to do like a very daring rush where the cheaper vehicles, the cheaper tanks can get into the penetration range of the Leopard 2A4s and with their numbers stun them and break through and kill all the cheetahs and follow up with the fighter planes. All of this could have been possible, but it just, first of all, it wasn't attempted. And if even when the fighting happened, they just allowed the Leopard 2 to the Dutch Leopard to penetrate those and make them combat ineffective immediately. And since from that point on, Tiberius has been running catch up.
Yeah, and I feel like Tiberius didn't really focus on his main advantage, which is ATGMs. Like, he gets so many cheap ATGMs on those Milans, on those Martyrs. He gets a lot of Milans. Like, those can make the Leos of the other side so easily cost inefficient, whilst everything but Leos on the other side can't hurt you. So trying to fight the Leos with Leos, instead of fighting them the classic German way of dealing with the enemy tanks with anti-tank weapons and using your tanks for breakthroughs and maybe wiping out light forces. That's how you play a German division in the German combat style. It's how it is practiced since World War II. And if you try to play it like the Germans did in the late World War II era and try to put up a Tiger 2 and just send them in there, you're gonna lose, just like the Germans did in late World War II. You want to sneak around, you want to be mobile, you want to put the ATGMs there on the side, and giving up the flanks, giving up everything for that front line of 5 Leo 1A5s that are just not brawler tanks at all, like never designed for it, and they just don't do it, especially not against a heavy tank like a Leo 2A4. Yeah, that's just not a winning strategy.
Yeah, I believe nowadays the Leopard 1A5s that are being operated in Ukraine are modernized variants with new engines, so they can actually move with the speeds of modern MBTs. And I believe they're really good at that role, even in modern combat when they are used reasonably, supported by the heavier vehicles and used in fire support tasks. And right here, I don't really know what was going on inside Tiberius's head. Maybe it was a Miss Micro. Maybe there was something that is taking away their attention. But this really is not the caliber of a world #1 contender, I have to say.
Yeah, this was not the Tiberius who's going to the finals again. Like, we need to see a significant step up, otherwise it will be an end in the group stage. Like, the other two players in the group might not quite be... No, the group is in general pretty stacked, if I remember correctly. Let me have a look. But yeah, it's a pretty strong group there, and Tiberius... Yeah, it's Pro-Commie, Tiberius, Stahlbrecher, and Startek. So it's a really, really filled group there.
Damn.
So yeah, Startek getting the one victory here, really important. And for Tiberius, it could be over in the next game already in the group stage here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I said everything that I had to say there. The one player gained an immense numerical advantage by having stronger units, and the other player was trying something wacky to counter those stronger units, and then didn't try it or didn't succeed. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, and we have it here in the end. 2-1, 2-0 Zeke here for Mr. Static, and yeah, well played there. So gets the W, gets the scoreboard going on here for Division 1. A lot of other strong players in here as well. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what comes out of the other groups. No games played there just yet. And if you want to support this league and you want to maybe give these players a bit more incentive, you can check out the Matcherino page and use !Matcherino to get your these players a bit more money to play for. Some real money that gets paid out in the end. And if you haven't followed my lovely co-caster here yet, you absolutely should go over to Chloe's channel and leave a follow right now as well.
Yes, for those of you who are unaware, the streams have restarted. From this week on, I will not have school. I only have to work on my bachelor thesis, and considering I'm amazingly good at procrastinating when it comes to my thesis, this has meant that I've been streaming a lot more recently, and the streams as well as the accompanying historical moment have been really nice, I think. Nice with the historical moment here. Please understand 3-4-dimensional descriptions, not necessarily referring to the goodness or badness of the situation.
So yeah, with that said, guys, thanks for watching here for today. I'm gonna be traveling the next 2 weeks through Southeast Asia, so I will take my laptop with me, but I most likely won't be able to stream because I will enjoy the holiday. Maybe 1 or 2 short streams at night in Asian time, so daytime Europe. But that's gonna depend on how I feel down there. I will record a couple of videos, but that's about it. So yeah, I will have a fun time over there. And
yeah,
see you all around.
I think that especially when it comes to lower division 4 and 3 games, I think I might be casting those on my stream as they appear on the Discord. Just so that we, even though those won't be released on the YouTube channel, if you want to see your personal games casted that you play in the league, if you want to see the advice, if you want to hear the commentary, you can like DM me on Twitch. Twitch works as well as in all the other platforms if you figure out who I am.
Yeah, and we're gonna send you over now to Snowwolfie, another Division 1 player who just started streaming lately as well. So leave a follow over there. Snowwolfie,
and
really nice person.
And those who care, Bad Reki just started their stream, and they're also playing their division.
Bad Reki is going to play some their division games as well. Yeah, have fun over there at Bad Reki as well, or at Snowwolfie. Yeah, lots more WARNO content coming around. It's great to see so many streamers lately. Have a good day, and see you around, guys.